and we've been 3D printing all over the place and doing our thing. And I think it's going to take a little while for people to get used to me streaming again, and it's probably going to be a completely different audience because it's in a way it's kind of gaming related because we will be printing out things that are gaming related. As a matter of fact, a little bit later this evening, after we get this unboxing and assembled, we will be starting its first print, which is going to be a Butcher Diablo figure made by Photos Mint. Yes, hand reveal. Show hand. So yeah, I'm not, I'm still not real big on wanting to be in front of like the camera or anything. You might catch a glimpse of me here and there. But mostly what I wanted to do was this is now my third 3D printer. I have one that's going in another room. It's been running already. It's going to run for hours. And then I have a resin 3D printer that is in another room, which is I would bring it in here, but I just don't feel like this particular room is ventilated enough to really be running a resin printer in here. So definitely don't want to be doing that. But this is what is called an FDM printer. This is going to be from Voxelab. So let's just go ahead and get this part open because this is just the standard Amazon boxing, and inside will be the contents that have been sent over by Voxelab. Now, I chose Voxelab. Basically, it's an Ender 3 V2 clone. So if you're familiar with 3D printing at all, it's pretty much just a clone of the Ender 3 V2. It's a lot cheaper. It's not as expensive as the Ender 3 V2, but the results that we've gotten out of it have been, rather fantastic. So I have no complaints. So what happened here is, I always request for them to send this kind of stuff. Hey guys, what's going on? So I always request for them the game collect. Dude, that's just the PS4. There's a whole section of games over here. There's more than just that. Like I have games that I had to box up and put away because I just don't have the room for them. But even with stuff like this is crazy. So anyway, Voxelab seems to be some really cool people. For anybody that doesn't really know that much about them, they're a subsidiary of a bigger company called FlashForge, and FlashForge is well known for making a lot of really nice 3D printers and all kinds of new technology kind of stuff. So just for space reasons, I'm gonna go ahead and break this larger box down. But what I did here was, anytime when I order stuff like this, I always have them delivered in like the generic Amazon packaging. And hey, Lena, how are you? The reason why I do that is because if I'm not home when it gets delivered, I really don't want like people in my neighborhood like walking by and seeing the words, 3D printer on the side of a box, sitting on the front porch. It's liable to get yoinked if that's the case. So, and I think I'd put this up here upside down. So, anyway, this is the actual package that the Voxelab comes in. There you go, Voxelab. So if you decide that you want one of these, you've seen several pictures of the 3D printing. Yeah, they do. They come out so well, and that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about later when I get ready to start the overnight stream. Is one of the sculptors that makes these models that I've become somewhat decent friends with. His name D-Mentd. Super talented sculptor, and what he does is he spends a lot of time sculpting, like so much time that he actually took on a hand injury from doing so much sculpting, and his sculpts are just out of this world. Here's a resin one that I did of his. This is Bane from Batman, and I'm sure the camera is really not going to do it justice here, but this thing is like so detailed. I don't really know, you know. These white marks, um, usually if the resin hasn't dried all the way, or wasn't cured properly, those little white marks pop up. But I don't really worry about that too much because by the time you hit them with like gray primer and whatnot, it pretty much settles that out. I'm gonna move this camera just a little bit, just a little, just so we can get a better look at what's going on. Because this is, if you actually order this printer, this is what you can pretty much expect to get, and what you're going to be getting yourself into as far as how many things you're going to have to figure out, what you're going to have to put together. The very first one that came, it probably took me close to an hour and a half to 2 hours to assemble because I had no idea. Complete fresh noob. I had no idea what I was doing. Now that I've done things like put a couple more together, put upgrades and rebuilt things and replaced things, I'm getting pretty quick at being able to get them put together. So right off the bat, when you open the box, you're greeted by the manual, which if you can see here, just says, this power unit is 115 over 230. Being that I'm in the United States, that should be at 115 by default. I shouldn't have to change that at all. But if you do have to change it, it's just a little red slider button on the power switch. That being said, they pack this super well. There's foam everywhere. Everything feels nice and tight. So when you get this first form-fitted foam off of here, you're greeted with this. And at first glance, that can be, especially if you're new, that could definitely be a little intimidating. These instructions, very important to keep. Don't just throw them away, even if you don't use them, because most people are going to end up watching YouTube assembly video to make everything easy. The instructions are actually better in this than they are in, say, like the Ender. But I made the mistake of not throwing this away, but if you notice, there's a bunch of zip ties. I probably 8-10 zip ties. Those come in handy, especially considering some of the stuff that you're going to have to do to get this up and running. They are nice enough to send you a small a roll of transparent red filament, and every one of these that I've ordered, it has come with this. This is to get you started. You get a small test print out of this. I think I was able to print everything that came on their micro SD card with this. And usually that stuff is things for you to print out to use right away. It's like a calibration tool that, depending on how it prints, will tell you if it's over or under extruding, putting out too much filament, or if the temperature's too hot, or it's stringing or whatever. And then it has like a little hook that you can print out, and probably the cooler thing about it is printing out the little toolbox. So there's a file on there for you to print out your own toolbox that attaches to the frame, and then that way you can put all the little tools, because they send you a little kit full of tools. But you can print the toolbox out and attach it straight to your machine, and then you have your tools readily available. Everything that you basically see when you're going, there's nothing in this box that's not important. If you notice, it says this is the, and again, I don't know how well you can see it, but this is the spare. This is a spare screw kit. This is where they give you, one or two extras of each screw. Yo, what's up, Great Eyebrows? How you doing? They give you a couple of extras of each screw in case one, you happen to drop or lose it, which is really easy to do, or if there would just happen to be one missing. This is actually one of the machines that comes mostly pre-assembled, which is really cool because some of the other ones take a lot more time and knowledge to get them assembled. So it's really cool that this one comes partially assembled. So these are going to be your rails that run along the side. Inside of one of these, it's not this one. There'll be at least one more of these. There'll be a screw that is your Z axis rod that allows the machine to raise up and down. This particular model, the reason why this is better than the standard like Ender 3, besides being, $100 cheaper, is it has all the upgrades. Yeah, it has been a long time, man. It's been forever. It's been like 2 months. I really don't get the time to stream, but it seems like, I get one tragedy after another, whether it's to my own health or to things that happened with my mom and helping out and trying to take care of them and things like that. So, but one of the upgrades that you get with this that you would normally have to pay for on, pay to upgrade on another, like on the Ender, is you actually get the glass plate. So this is a glass plate on a heated bed. I know, like, my little brother, he bought an Ender before I bought my first Voxelab. And after seeing my Voxelab perform, he immediately bought the Voxelab for himself. So basically what you're looking at here is you have your plate. Okay, this is what is what's called the hot end. So once you get this nice and set up, this is the end with the needle here that'll go across here, and it will extrude out the melted plastic as it moves back and forth and creates your 3D design. The fact that it comes, it's a hot end that comes pre-assembled is great. Some of the other ones you have to assemble the hot end, but I will say this right off the bat. I knew what I was in for with this, so I immediately even prior to receiving this, I ordered this, which is a Capricorn set. So basically, this tubing and these pieces will replace this tubing, that piece there, and another piece that goes onto the gantry. The reason for that is because in all of the Voxelabs that we purchased, those pneumatics usually failed after a day of using them, which means basically what it did was the teeth inside the pneumatic broke and the tube would just be sliding everywhere, and it was causing failed prints. So ahead of time, I already picked up, and anybody who purchases this is what I would recommend. We've already picked up the Capricorn, which is a better and higher temperature. It can withstand higher temperatures on the tubing, and the pneumatic fittings light years above the stock pneumatic fittings that they give you there. So that's upgrade number one that we ordered before the machine ever even got here. While this is sitting here, this is what will go on the top that holds your roll, your spool of filament. This is your extruder. So what we were just talking about, this is the part where your filament goes in here, okay? And then it goes through, well, technically it goes in here. And then based on the spring tension and everything, it goes through another pneumatic tube that feeds it to the hot end. Now, one of the things that I have done to replace already is I will remove this entire hot end. It's made of plastic, and it's really good. So when you first get started out, this will be okay for you for a little while. You don't have to upgrade that right away. However, we've had one that broke on both the Voxelab and the Creality Ender, where the plastic broke due to the tension spring. So I do have the all metal upgrade, which keeps it nice and strong and allows for a lot better. So like I said, right off the bat, when this one gets put together, it's going to be put together basically upgraded. I don't want to have to like play with it now and then come back and upgrade it later once a piece breaks down. Okay, this is the screen that they send and the attachment rack for the screen, which basically attaches to the side. Now this thing so far in my experience, this thing has been kind of crazy because after you turn it on, it has the look and feel of a touch screen, but it's absolutely not a touch screen. It's the same as pretty much all the other 3D printers. You turn the knob to get to where you want, and then you press in and click, and it'll go to the menu or, you know, execute the command that you're trying to get it to do. So that is, I'm going to set this down. That is pretty much everything that's just in the top layer of the packaging. So at this point, when you remove this second fitted foam, here's where things get interesting. So these are all the little tools that they send you. You got everything from small wrenches and screwdrivers and you know, hex keys. This scraper, which is to help you get your print off of the build plate once it's completed. But this is also why one of the files included on the little micro SD card, which is right here. It comes with a reader, a micro SD card, but one of the files on there is for a toolbox. that toolbox again attaches to the side of your printer and allows you to just drop these in out of the way, but still be able to keep them, you know, close by for when you need them. This here is a belt that will go across one of your axes, so you'll have to put that in. They also included a needle for being able to get in there and really clean out your nozzles, because sometimes they get clogged with the plastic. They did include an additional nozzle, so if you mess it up, and you will, and most likely the first time you're gonna scratch the glass on your on your 3D printer. I know I did. I was actually really upset. Like, I spent like an hour and a half getting it put together, and I went to go do the first little thing, and because of it not the bed not being leveled yet or anything, the nozzle ran across the glass and scratched it right off the bat. So it made for some interesting things. So I mixed emotions on that. But anyway, this is going to be all the screws and pneumatic fittings that you need for getting started. Again, we will not be using these pneumatic fittings that came with it. We're going to use the ones that came with the Capricorn. These, I tried to figure out, you know, exactly what the issue is, and I do know. I just know that the camera can't pick it up. This is not the best webcam in the world, but anyway, on these pneumatics, the teeth that grip the tube, so when you put the tube in, that white tube, and you push it in all the way, these pop back out. These little plastic teeth lock into the tube, and then there's another piece that you put on here to apply pressure so that it really digs into the tube. The problem is that through every print, it's moving back and forth like this. So eventually these little plastic teeth in here wear down, and it just lets go of your tube. And then all of a sudden, your print doesn't stop feeding. You're still getting all of the filament, but it's not going into the hot end, and so you end up with this huge mess of, you know, spaghetti, so to speak. It's really frustrating, because if you these type of printers, the prints take so long. The average print can take 6 or 7 hours for something small that a normal resin printer could do in an hour to an hour and a half. And for the larger items, I mean, I have files right now that I want to print that'll be live on stream that run, you know, it can run as long as 3 days. So imagine being 2.5 days into your print, and those plastic teeth wear out, and boom, it kicks your tube and your filament out and ruins your print. So this right here is for the belt pulley system. One of the better things about this 3D printer is it does have the belt tensioning knobs on the outside, which means you can just screw or unscrew to get your belts tightened and loosened, where on some of the other machines you have to take pretty much that whole thing completely apart to readjust your belts. So it makes it super easy to just be able to tighten and loosen your belts through that nut. All right, we're getting there. This is the Z-axis motor. This is the one that your long spiral twisty bolt is going to run into, and then it is what will lift and raise your print up and down up on the Z-axis. So far I haven't had any problems with the stock one, so we're good on that. This again is the part that holds your filament. So once you get everything set up, this will attach to the top of your machine. This will attach to this, and then your spool goes on here, which will feed down to your hot end. I know a lot of this is probably like just like yeah, whatever, and going over a lot of people's heads, or kind of boring because you've done this before, or it's just not exciting. But this isn't the exciting part. This is the part that where when you buy a 3D printer, you're going to want to go online and look at this video and remember that, oh yeah, this part does this and this does that. Which, unfortunately, I'm not really going to be going into much detail, and I'll probably be assembling this offline. I could do an assembly instruction video, but I'd rather not, because when it comes to dealing with electronics, I have a really shaky hand. So, like most people that know me in person know about my anxiety disorders and everything else, and how hard it is even for me to when I play League of Legends and stuff like that. I'm playing with the threat of a oncoming seizure, and uh, shaky hands and heart palpitations and all that kind of stuff, which puts me at a disadvantage. But anyway, with electronics, especially when you start dealing with like tiny screws, and your hands are shaky and your fingers are shaky, and you think you got it lined up, and you go to start screwing it, and boom, the screw pops off, it falls in the floor, and you can't find it. Um, so these are the pretty much the last two pieces. This is the one that has the rod inside. So this is the Z access rod that'll go into that piece. But everything that I think that's it. There's nothing else under here, so we're good to go. Um, it's very well packaged. Voxelab does a really good job at packaging up all of their stuff. Everything comes very well protected. Nothing that I've gotten from them has been, destroyed or broken out of the box or anything like that. Uh, the the small things, like I said, are there are certain things that you'll want to change right off the bat if you consider purchasing one of these, and that is going to be um, changing out this plastic extruder for an all metal one. And I know a lot of people that are like, well, why don't you just use that plastic extruder until it breaks? But the problem is you don't know when it's going to break. And it could break and ruin an entire print that has been running for a couple of days. And then you all of a sudden have wasted your time. So I personally would much rather take this off, swap it out, and have this as a backup. I'll have my all metal one on here. That thing will last, a good chunk, if not forever. And but if anything ever does happen to it, then I can throw this plastic one back on as a temporary solution while I wait for another metal one to come. So that's up, day one, like upgrade. Like before I start putting all this stuff together, I'll be taking this off and putting the all metal one on. So boom, all metal. And again, these are just how it came boxed. This all metal extruder head, or extruder wheel motor thing, was something that I bought separately. It's cheap. Well, it's not cheap, but they're cheap. They don't cost a lot, but they're really good quality. I think you can usually catch them on sale for about under $10. The pneumatic that they come with is way better than the stock pneumatics. It's all metal. It's a much better spring. Overall, just be sure to replace that first. Replace that before you haul off and start printing a bunch of stuff, and your life is going to be 100 times easier. And then, of course, here's the rest of it. So I don't know how much of this we'll be able to actually see on this camera at the moment. You know what? Pretty good amount. Let's move it over just a little, and maybe down just a little. Yeah. Here, let's. There we go. Now you can get a really good look. And then whenever we go to start printing, it'll definitely be a different a different camera angle. But again, this is the only other thing that I replaced right off the bat is this Capricorn. Sorry for the coughing, my throat's dry. This Capricorn tubing. We will replace the stock tubing and the stock pneumatic on the hot end, and the pneumatic that's supposed to come from the extruder. So all in all, in upgrades, I think this all together ran maybe $20. I think the Capricorn set was about 10 or 11 bucks. And I think I got the all metal extruder while it was on sale for like $8.99. 20 bucks on top of what you already spent for a printer. And if you're like me, you're like, I don't want to buy a printer and then turn around and drop 20 bucks on it. You don't have to. It'll work fine right out of the box. It really will. But it is kind of a ticking time bomb. So spend the extra 20 bucks, get the upgrades, and you're still going to be ahead. And you're still going to be the Ender 3 is around $100 more expensive. The V2, which is what this is a clone of, and even after you spend $20 in upgrades, you've still saved 80 bucks and have a pretty superior printer. So that's everything. That's the unboxing. To give you guys an example of some things that I have already printed on the Voxelab itself, let's see. Stuff that I printed on the Voxelab. So this was printed in all black from a contest. I actually won a Voxelab contest, and they sent me some all black PLA, which is plastic filament. And I did this Incredible Hulk, super detailed. This was sculpted and made by D-Mentd, who is just amazing at what he does. So this is a D-Mentd print. This Slave Leia, Princess Leia from Star Wars, which came out really, really good. It's a bust. And I noticed that I mostly got around to printing busts more than anything else when I print on the FDM on these type of printers, because if it's going to be small, the resin printers can't be beat for detail. But if it's going to be, something that you want as a little bit larger size, then obviously the FDM is the way to go. This is Davy Jones, another D-Mentd sculpture. Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. Just super detailed. And gonna be a whole lot of fun. So besides all the 3D printing, I also purchased airbrush kits and different things like that, because I kind of want to learn everything all around. Here's one that I did that's actually not D-Mentd, but that you guys might appreciate. This is Spyro the Dragon, printed in that Voxelab black PLA, and he looks amazing. I mean, if you're a Spyro fan, come on. right? It's so cute. I also printed a Gremlin from the movie Gremlins. He's about this tall, so he's much taller than any of these that you see here. However, he's outside. I have sanded him down. He's being primed. He's getting ready for paint. He's probably going to be my first airbrush victim. You just got the remaster for your Xbox. So, funny story. I actually bought the Spyro Reignited trilogy for my PlayStation 4. And I did open it to look at it. Like, you know, it was brand new, still had the plastic on it. And then I got it probably like within a month of it coming out. It was brand new. And other than opening it, just to look at it, that's right there. What you just saw me do, that's the second time I've ever opened it. So I've had it for a month since it came out, only to have never played it at this point. And unfortunately, that's the case with most of my video games. But these FDM printers, I like them. They're cheap. It's inexpensive. The filament, you know, the spool of the filament that you use for printing these out, you can get 5 or 6 really good size busts plus some small things, and still have plenty left over. It's a lot cheaper than, say, you know, resin printing, which is just super expensive. One of the more recent Photos Mint prints that I did is the Michelle Pfeiffer version of Catwoman from Tim Burton's Batman. Super detailed. I mean, it looks just like her. You can't, like, it just does. The little corset on the back, you know, it's got everything. This was actually printed in resin. It prints faster. It prints in more detail. As you can see, it's still about the same height as those. The difference is Spyro took about 9.5 hours. Davy Jones took about 16 hours. Princess Leia took about 11 hours. The Hulk took about 16 hours. And this one took about 2.5 hours. Because resin printing is so much faster. I don't want to, like, bog this down with things that I've resin printed because it just wouldn't be fair. But I will say this. As of right now, from the last I checked, Voxelab printers are on sale on Amazon for about $179, which again is about $100 cheaper than the Creality Ender 3 V2, and it prints every bit as good or better. And so it's a really good deal. And Voxelab, hands down, their customer support, phenomenal. They did not sponsor this video. They did not send me this machine. I paid for this machine with my own money. The only thing free that I've ever gotten from Voxelab was the black filament for this, and that was because I won a contest. Matter of fact, another friend slash viewer slash fellow streamer, Llama in my bed, or Eric Day, depending on where you know him from, either Twitter or from Twitch. He actually won too because I told him to go like the Voxelab page, and he was their 100th like. So they sent him some filament, even though he doesn't have a 3D printer. Now he may buy a 3D printer, which is great. But what you get in the box is everything you need to get started printing. But don't make the mistake that a lot of people do Don't skip any steps. You know, I've seen some videos online of people who buy these 3D printers and they get mad and they say that, you know, it doesn't print correctly, and you know they couldn't get a good print. And you know, I kind of felt that way because I started off as a person doing resin prints, and then I picked up, you know, a couple of the FDM machines, and so now I do both. But I will explain one thing, and we'll just talk about this real quick because I'll probably edit this video up for YouTube as a Voxelab Aquila unboxing. But I will say this: when you hear somebody say level the bed, they don't mean that you put a, and I have one here somewhere, but I don't feel like hunting it down. It doesn't mean stick a leveler on the bed and check the bubble to make sure it's in the middle. That's not what leveling the bed is. And I think a lot of people make that mistake, and right off the bat they start printing and stuff isn't sticking to the plate, or it's grinding or peeling up, and it's because they did not actually level the plate. These little wheels, you could probably see this one the best. They're kind of hidden under here a little bit. Actually, I need to test and see. So this plate's a little bit wobbly. So before I print anything, I'll make sure to go in here and tighten all the bolts and stuff that come loose during shipping. That's always a key factor. But the biggest thing is there's 4 corners of this plate. Underneath each corner is one of these wheels. Turning it one direction lowers the plate down. Turning it another direction brings the plate back up. It's not that you want the bed to be level in this, because it wouldn't matter if you were printing upside down, for that matter. What does matter is that the head of the printer, once it's built, is going to run along this plate. If one side of this plate is higher than the other, then obviously you're going to have some issues. The way to fix that is you take a piece of paper, just a regular sheet of paper, nothing special, nothing thick. In fact, this one that they send you with the voltage and stuff is actually too thick. But basically what you would do is you would have your hot end, which is hanging over like this. You get it right above that corner, and then you put a piece of paper under there and you twist the knobs until just where it's grabbing the paper, and then you leave it, and then you push this back and you do the same thing for that corner, that corner, that corner, and then you test the middle. And if that is leaving, like, you look at your paper and you say, okay, it felt like, you know, where it was touching and where it was grabbing and snagging is pretty even all the way around, then you're probably going to have a really good print. It actually, like I said, it has nothing to do with if the bed is leveled this way, this way, this way, blah, 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 as far as like a leveler is concerned. You cannot just throw a leveler on here and be like, oh, the bubble was in the middle, it says it's level, and it's still messed up. Has nothing to do with it. Totally different kind of leveling. This is actually called tramming, not leveling. But, you know, for most people to understand, they're going to say, you know, bed leveling, but you're actually tramming. You're leveling, you're angling this plate up towards the direction that it needs to be. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about this with the unboxing part of it. We're unboxed, we're all laid out, you've seen everything that comes with it. If this looks intimidating to you, don't let this stop you from ordering one of these machines. If you've ever wanted to get into 3D printing, order this machine. They have some really, like the company themselves, Voxelab, which again is a subsidiary of FlashForge, which is a really big company. But they have a lot of YouTube videos that walk you through step by step. Come play League. No, I'm good on that, bro. I'm just not in that game frame of mind. But anyway, they have step-by-step videos that'll get you from start to finish on how to get it put together, how to get it assembled, how to do everything properly so that you're ready to print. Um, but other than that, you're good to go. It comes with everything that you need, and then at that point, you decide if you want to make the upgrades. But until then, I'm going to end the stream here. It is about 4 p.m. my time. I'm going to be looking to probably get this assembled and ready. And then later on tonight, I will set this thing to do an overnight print. It will record it. It will be streamed live for the entire thing. So if it messes up in the middle of the night, you'll see it. Or if it comes out perfect, you'll see it. But it's kind of entrancing. I don't know. When you're watching something being built on this 3D plate, there's something that just makes you just kind of want to stand there and watch it and just see how it happens. And I figure why not share that with people? So tonight we're going to be printing, and I'll switch over to this screen real quick. Tonight we're going to be printing the Diablo Butcher, which you can see right here on the right hand side. Over there. There it is. We're going to be printing that Diablo Butcher, which was sculpted and made by D-Mentd. You can check out his Patreon. The guy does phenomenal work. And even if you don't do 3D printing and you just want to do a $5 support and buy this guy a cup of coffee, definitely do it. He works very, very hard. And of course, the branding and everything. Boom, Voxelab. So you can check out Voxelab and check out all their different things. They have different printers, and they also have resin printers and everything as well. But this right here is probably the best printer for the money. And yeah, I think that I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in getting started with 3D printing. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. I'm going to get this thing assembled, and then we'll get this running tonight for you guys to check out a 3D print. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see some of you guys that I haven't seen in forever. Mostly I'll be back, but this really isn't going to be a hugely interactive stream for me. This is basically going to be like set a 19-hour print, let it film, play some music, and come here and relax and enjoy. You know, if you want to make bets on whether the print is going to actually finish or fail, then feel free. But we're going to have some really cool things in the long run for this. So anyway, if you get a chance, follow D-Mentd on Twitter. Check out his Patreon. Boom, boom, boom. Man, this camera is so confusing. Where do I point? And then, of course, check out Voxelab. You can check out their website. You can check out their social media. Have a good one, guys.